All right, Kevlar faithful, welcome on in. Probably the word of the night, faith. Do you believe we need it to win? I certainly do. Late breaking news here, Justin, along
Yep.
with just other miscellaneous housekeeping notes. Cavs Donovan Mitchell out for game 4. Jared Allen's out. Donovan Mitchell's out. What percent chance do you give us to win this game tonight?
Honestly, the way things have been going and how everything seems, I would go 20% is probably the best you could do. And that's in a shot in a prayer that you could gave to Darius Garland from last year in the Knicks series. And, hope that everyone else plays like game 2 of this past series or of this series, where everyone comes alive and gives just enough to, kind of have a dominant showing, or at least in this case, a showing without Donovan Mitchell, who has just absolutely been carrying this team through the playoffs so far in Jared Allen's absence, because Jared Allen was the second best player. So now your number 1 and your number 2 guys are out, and it's time for guys like Darius Garland, Max Strus, Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley to step up. And again, you're going to have even more reserves have to step up now. So it's tough, obviously. And I don't think that, Darius Garland becoming the number 1 guy and probably taking a bunch more shots, which I don't doubt we'll see, is the best thing, just because now they will absolutely key in on him and make him give up the ball at all costs. But we'll see. It's going to be a tough showing for sure.
I'm kind of along the same lines there. I would say probably 10% chance, 10 to 15% chance we'd still pull this game out. And a lot of that is just because you're at home. I cannot believe we are going into a hypothetical must-win game, and this is your starting 5. Garland at the 1, LeVert at the 2, Strus playing the 3, Okoro at the 4, and Mobley at the 5. Absolutely disgusting as far as what has transpired here in the last 60 minutes.
I mean, in terms of just, where you're losing in terms of like a presence-wise, you're not losing much in terms of LeVert for Mitchell outside of, the star power and everything. But, the matchup defensive-wise, you don't lose much with LeVert coming in for Donovan. Obviously, you lose all the offense. But, again, Okoro's been at that 4 guarding Tatum and, sometimes Brown and whatnot. But at the end of the day, like these 5 guys are your guys that you're expecting to, all have to have plus 10 points in order to win this game. Evan's going to have plus 20. Darius is going to have plus 20. Karis is going to have like 15 plus. And then, we're going to have guys sprinkle in, 10, 8 points from our reserves. Max Strus, is he finally going to go off for four threes in the first half, or some crazy number that we just haven't gotten from him yet that we've all been expecting? So again, tough sledding here. The matchup just tightens up for them defensively. They quite literally don't have to worry about Donovan Mitchell just, completely starting this team's offense or getting them back into these games. And that's a huge thing for them. So we'll see how many chances they take on offense. And again, you go from game 2 where they miss everything to games 1 and 3 where I think they're guarded well, but unfortunately, they just have star power in that category and are knocking down shots. So,
Jay Boogie, honestly, I wish I could be like, yeah, we're going to trot him out there and have him like not get any rest. But if we play him for that high volume of minutes, even more, and just based on the way he's been playing, I see that being a total disaster area. I think you have to go at least 10 players. Like Justin said, you have to get Marcus Morris involved. You have to make sure Tristan Thompson is out there. You have to hope from some magical opening of the sky that, you can maybe get 9 points from George Niang. Can he go out there and make 3 threes? I think that is like a statistical anomaly at this point. And just a weird just 30 minutes prior to this tip-off. LeBron James is going to be in the building. No Donovan Mitchell. No Jared Allen. What? I don't even know what's happening. But it's game 4, Eastern Conference semifinals. Game 3 was I can't believe we have to come on here every time that we play one game or we play two games, and we're kind of going through the wrap up of what we saw, in tandem of talking about what we're going to see. And it's like, oh, turn on the stream, get the links out, everybody loads in the chat, and it's like, oh, that last game was disappointing. Like, I don't have any other way to describe it though. I don't feel like Boston is playing really good basketball. Like, maybe I'm just getting older. Maybe I'm just a grouch, so to say. But I swear that playoff basketball is just not as competitive as it used to be. The refs are softer. The star power is less somehow. I don't even know how it's less in the postseason. You have a couple of guys who are playing really good basketball. Everyone else has been average to below average in a lot of these playoff series. They'll have one game here, and then they'll be average or below average. To me, it's like this Boston team, and Justin, we've kind of been saying it. They have fraudulent tendencies. They really live and die by the three ball, is what we've seen through the first three games. They looked like trash beyond the arc in game 2 at home, and we absolutely handle them. They are not, and people, oh, you're downplaying this team. You downplayed Orlando. You're downplaying Boston. They have Tatum. Oh, they don't even have Porzingis healthy. I hear you. I do. But they are not juggernauts. I don't know how many times I have to say this. This is not a LeBron James led 6 straight finals appearances or however many in a row, 10 total. This is not I don't even know if this team is as good as, I know it's not as good as any of the Golden State teams that won championships. That's pretty obvious. I don't know if it's as good as these the Denver team that has won it. It's on par with that Milwaukee squad that I think, had Giannis with his first ring. But I don't know, man. Something about these guys just don't, like, I'm not convinced when Tatum goes up with the ball. Right. I'm not convinced. I was convinced after game 1 about Derek White, but like game 2, I was like, he's a good, he's a really good role player. It's not like he's some superstar, guy in the NBA. He's not the face of the league. Jaylen Brown can't even dribble or pass with his left hand. He's giving the ball away. He can't even put the ball on the ground. He has to go up on the left side of the hoop with his right hand. I've never seen anything like this. And Drew Holiday, he's getting up there in age. Game 3 thoughts. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, again, trying to get going, and I didn't think guys played too poorly, but again, you get off the poor starts, and then again, coming out of the third, like you come out of the half, and every time it's a goose egg. It's one of those things where it's like, did you just not talk any adjustments? Did you guys just go in there and say like, hey, ice up and get ready for the second half? Like, I can't understand how every time we need to come out into the third quarter and we need to play well, that we just do the complete opposite and drop the ball and let them either claw back or, gain a even larger lead than what they had before and undo a bunch of work that, more often than not, Donovan had to get us there in the first place.
Honestly, and here's the thing, because this is, and I know I just went on a huge tangent about Boston, who, I don't even think they're playing at elite level. They're the first people to tell you. Jason Tatum said after the game 2 press conference, we're not a super team. This is the allegedly best player on the other team. He's saying, oh, well, we get portrayed in this light. Like, he's the first person to come out after a loss and say that, which wouldn't be my line of, answering questions after a loss in the playoffs if I was the supposed leader of a franchise. But, to each their own. The issue is the Cavaliers in losses, and I will qualify that, in losses, and even in some wins in the Orlando series, I'm not even going to beat around the bush, but majority in losses have just been that much worse. I tweeted this out today. Postseason 3-point shooting percentage. So we have player's name, 3-point attempts, and 3 points made. Garland at the top, which I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that, but I looked at his volume and that kind of told the whole story. Mitchell, 82 threes from Mitchell. Justin, these bottom 4 guys barely even get to 82. Okoro, Morris, LeVert, and Niang combined. They barely even, the bottom 3 for sure. Mobley only 14 threes, not his game. Merrill, I thought truth be told, I was wrong on that front. I thought Merrill would have a lot more playoff impact and a bigger role, whether that's JB's fault, whether that's mismatches, whether that's spacing the floor, whatever it may be. Strus absolute stinker on 56 attempts, 30%. I don't know what else to say here. And what bothered me about this, and let me see if I could find it. And go ahead if you have some thoughts about that.
Well, you see that when you can see the field goals attempted, but I'm looking at the field goal attempted for both the Cavs and the Celtics in this 3 games that we've played so far. Donovan Mitchell with 22, the most of any team. And then the next most is Peyton Pritchard with 18.7. And then this is the next 3 leading people, Jaylen Brown, Sam Hauser, Jason Tatum. Then Darius Garland, then Karis LeVert at 12.5. So you go from Donovan Mitchell, 22 shots, to Karis LeVert, 12.5, to Darius Garland, 12. That just tells you that, like, for some reason, our offense doesn't get going in the sense of, like, we take up so much time trying to either get a poor shot selection from just dribbling the hell out of the ball or from one guy trying to take it all by themselves. And again, when it's Donovan Mitchell, it's okay. But at the same time, Darius Garland needs to be upwards of 15 shots per game. Karis probably needs to have a couple more. And same with Max Strus, who is all the way down at 9 shots. He's below Marcus Morris, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. So the field goal attempts is kind of just a stat that's like stuck in my head because I'm not sure how we're not getting up as many or how our guys with star power aren't getting up as many shots as their guys are.
And honestly, and this is what bothered me. And this is kind of what has bothered me over the last 3 or 4 months of the season, post All-Star break, whatever you want to quantify as the length of time. And I'm going to pull this up. So, and I don't mean to pick on this Twitter X user. I really don't. But comments like this I'm getting so sick of this. Quote tweets it. Variance railed us at the worst time. This is so sad. You could look at the numbers and compare them to regular season numbers, and you could come to this conclusion. I totally understand how that thought process gets linked together. This is not variance. Variance is like 2 games. 3 games. Variance is we've been shooting the lights out, either positive variance or negative variance. In my opinion, you could define variance however you want to define it for however long of a game or minutes or whatever you want to do. This is just me talking. If you shoot 50% from 3 for 3 or 4 games, you could win a series. That could be really good variance. We have played 10, and this will be the 11th playoff game this year. We played 5 playoff games last year. Newsflash, if you weren't around, we shot like shit last year too. This is not variance. This is a lack of an offensive identity. This is a lack of an offensive game scheme. This is a lack of a coach who doesn't, I don't even know what it is. I could say it's JB. I could say that the players, don't respond well. But with every passing game, I'm leaning toward the coaching being 65, 70% of the issue compared to the players being, 30% of the issue. Because you had different personnel last year. You had Chetty Osman last year. You had Danny Green last year. You had other guys last year who weren't Sam Merrill, who weren't George Niang, who weren't Max Strus. It hasn't mattered. The personnel turnover, you spend $17 million on Strus. You spend $17 million on LeVert. You spend $8 million on Niang. You spend all this money in the offseason. And we just forget how to shoot in the postseason. No, that is not the case. Just like the whole regular season. Oh, well, every time we lose, Justin, what would be on the timeline? Well, it's tough to win when the other team is just having the best shooting performance of their whole career and the best of their season, and they haven't missed. We played good defense. They haven't missed. Can that be true? I would say very rarely, but yeah, it can be. Someone's going to come out and have a historic night against you, and it could be super random. Dante DiVincenzo go for 30 plus, whatever. There's Cavalier killers. Logan talks about it all the time. I fully get it. But when we play 3 games in a week and 2 out of those 3 games we lose, and after on Twitter I got to hear from those 2 games, well, they just shot lights out. We'll go out and get them next time. Kind of has nothing to do with the Cavs. That's BS, people. That's nonsense. That is not the reality. When you don't play team defense, when you're not ready to defend the ball, which what happened a lot in the last game. We didn't sprint back on defense. We didn't play help side in the gaps. We weren't ready to defend the ball. Players are getting blown right by defensively. And you know what? It was kind of apparent to me after rewatching the film that, yeah, maybe Donovan Mitchell was a little bit injured because he was like a traffic cone on a lot of defensive possessions. And I'm not berating him because, yes, he has carried the team. But when DG's getting blown by, when Mobley, whatever percent healthy he is, it can't, isn't even closing out properly. Like it's, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. When you can't sprint back to the paint, something that me and you, Justin, were taught in 9th grade, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, unfortunately, this team is very much in a position now without Donovan that everyone's going to have to shoot lights out, because if we don't, then it's going to be a stinker at home in front of, now what is going to be a variable crowd of celebrities and, normal Cavs fans and whatnot. But yeah, this is, and I'm struggling here with the allergies, but
Me too.
It's one of those things where now Darius Garland's got the weight of the world on him. Evan Mobley right there next to him. And guys like Max Strus, guys like George Niang, guys that we got in the offseason, Karis LeVert being extended for a purpose. And, Karis has had a good series, I think, so far. I mean, it's one of those things where we finished the Magic series and, him and Okoro come alive in Game 7, where those first 6 games, they weren't great. But, hey, in the last 4 games, they've been pretty good. And so we need a lot from them. And, of course, you talk about that starting lineup. If anything, there's a lot of defense in that group, and especially with, like you said, Donovan Mitchell maybe playing hurt. Karis LeVert comes in and gets the start. Maybe he does a little bit on defense that Donovan couldn't, and, we play a little bit better to start. But it's just so many different variables that are going into this now that it's going to be I feel like it's going to be a wild Game 4.
Oh, absolutely. And Freddie, here's the thing. I understand this angle of the argument. I really do, because this is the age old question in sports. I think that this is an angle that honestly I've seen more used from the Browns in recent years than the Cavs. It's kind of recently popped up with JB, but we go to these wide views and we get the all 32 film for the Browns after games, and people are drawing up routes, and there's great people over on Twitter. Jake Burns comes to mind that does these film breakdowns and says this guy's wide open, and Jacoby Brissett can't hit him, and Stefanski scheming guys. Neither here nor there. But when you have 2 playing games 2 seasons ago. You lose both of those. You have 5 games last year, so now you're up to 7 games. You've already played 10 games this year. 11th is on the way. So you've played 17 total playoff games. Well, postseason. I don't count playing as playoffs. Postseason, with the 18th on tap tonight. And through 18 games, a common theme is that we have not been able to score. I hear you that JB can't, make wide open threes and bunnies out there for the guys. But it's a consistent theme that has haunted this team for 3 full seasons of postseason play. Tell LeBron to suit up. I don't know. I'm not getting it. Him, Khloe Kardashian, whatever. Fanfare to me. I don't get it. We got the Donovans, speculation, obviously. Adam East in the house. What's going on, everybody? If you're in here, hit the like button. It's doom and gloom, but here's the thing, and I almost tweeted this out, Justin, but I'm going to refrain. If DG goes for like 45 and 10 assists tonight and we win, I'll forgive him for the whole rest of the disastrous season that he's had. And I promise, I'm saying that live on the record now. 40 plus points, 10 plus assists, and a victory. He could shut me up right now if he wants to. And I think that's how you're feeling as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, resident Garland guy here. It's been a tough offseason, and it's been a tough regular season. And for this to be the scenario you're in, you're down 2-1 at home, Game 4. The best player in the whole series, not just on your team, but in the whole series, goes out. You haven't been with your second best player through the playoffs, and you're still not getting him back in this game. You're now in a position to lead what's a super young roster into a position of, if you go down 3-1, it's likely you won't come back, and you will have been not the sole reason, but part of the reason that your team could not get out of the hole. So he's got big shoes to fill. And then Mobley's got to step up. Max Strus has got to, provide some of that leadership that you're definitely losing with Mitchell not being out on the court. Karis LeVert, again, experience, is a firecracker when he can be. This is prime Karis LeVert time right here, where you're down two of your best players.
You're not lying.
If this is any time for Karis LeVert to kick into his, what everyone's been talking about, what spirit encapsulates him today, it's time for the Michael Jordan, game for him to come alive, drop 40 points against the Celtics again. But again, for this to even be close, for this to even be a game, everyone's going to have to come alive. Of course, Darius is probably going to have to be the one to lead the charge. But again, it's going to be one of those games that either if it doesn't show right away, you're looking at a stinker.
Absolutely. And I don't even know what's the game plan here. Hopefully people get hot early and then, Boston doesn't destroy you in the first quarter.
I think they're hoping to get a quick couple of plays in the first 5-8 minutes, get a lead, and then they're just going to start bringing guys in the chuck threes. I truly believe
strategy.
I truly believe that's what's going to happen, because they're just at this point where they're losing so much of a punch with Donovan that you're going to bring George Niang in. You're going to bring Sam Merrill in to try and get some of those threes off and get whatever you can back from, Donovan being out. So,
yep, it's been interesting last 30, 45 minutes, but here we are, probably going to wrap up here, honestly. Not really sure what else there is to say. Honestly, just besides the fact that it's just annoying because I don't think anyone's – even if you win this game tonight, let's say you had people – let's say Don was healthy and you won this game, I still don't think you're the favorite to win the series. I'm actually almost certain, but you're not in a terrible spot. You're in a middler spot if you're 2-2 going back to Boston. It's a 3-game series at that point, and all you have to do is hopeful. Even if you lose game 5, you just have to win game 6, and then you take it to game 7, albeit on the road, which is very, very difficult in the postseason to win game 7s on the road. But I don't know, man. Going down 3-1, like you said, basically season over, catastrophic, unless, the 1% of 1% chances arises, which, it has happened before. The non-final series, people have come back down from 3-1. Not a high likelihood, but anything else you got for us, Justin, before we log off here?
No, I mean, it's just going to be one of those days that either this team lets them know properly or it's going to be a silent goodbye.
And it's just one of those things where you literally have played team basketball during the regular season with guys out, where you have beat good teams because you played team basketball. Like this is, we've seen this roster do this, not in the playoffs, albeit, but we've seen them work through injuries and be like, hey, people have stepped up here. People have shot well here. But this just kind of feels like a different task tonight. But got about 7 or 10 minutes here before tip-off. If you're in chat here, make sure you're hitting that like button. We appreciate every single one of you being in here. Momo, Freddie B, Adam, JJ, MZC, J Boogie, everyone hanging out. We appreciate it. Go turn on the game. See if the Cavs could do the unthinkable tonight, so to say. But with that being said, we appreciate you being the pulse of it all. Peace.